The box of expensive organic truffles hit the counter with a heavy thud, startling me out of my rhythm. I looked up to see a woman in a beige coat glaring at me, her credit card tapping impatiently against the glass display case. The store was packed. It was the Saturday afternoon rush, the kind where the line snakes around the aisles and the air gets hot and stuffy. I smiled my best customer service smile and scanned the item. When the price flashed on the screen, $40, the woman let out a sharp, mocking laugh that made the customers behind her go quiet. "Excuse me," she said loudly, her voice carrying over the hum of the refrigerators. "That is wrong. I never pay full price for these. Never." I checked the screen again. There were no sales in the system, no coupons attached to her profile, and no manager overrides in place. "I apologize, ma'am," I said calmly, keeping my voice steady despite the heat rising in my cheeks. "The system lists these at $40. We don't have any active promotions on this brand today." The woman leaned over the counter, invading my personal space. She smelled of expensive perfume and entitlement. "You must be new," she sneered, pointing a manicured finger at my face. "Because the other girl, the blonde one with the nice nails? She always marks these down for me. She knows how to treat loyal customers." My stomach dropped. I knew exactly who she was talking about. Jessica. She was standing just 2 registers away, pretending to organize a display of chewing gum. She was purposefully facing away from us, but I could tell by the tension in her shoulders that she was listening to every word. Jessica was the cool coworker. The one who spent more time texting than stocking shelves. The one customers loved because she handed out discounts like they were candy, while the rest of us got yelled at for following the rules. I looked at Jessica, hoping she would step in and explain the situation. But she didn't move. She just kept shifting packs of gum, ignoring the scene she had created. The customer was getting louder now. "Are you going to fix this, or do I need to educate you on how to do your job?" she demanded. The line behind her was growing restless. I could feel the eyes of 20 people burning into me. They weren't mad at the lady. They were annoyed with me for holding up the line. I felt a surge of frustration. This wasn't just about a box of chocolates. This was about a pattern I had ignored for too long. Jessica got to be the hero, buying popularity with the store's money, and I was left to be the villain who charged actual prices. "Ma'am, I cannot simply change the price because another employee broke policy," I said, trying to maintain my professional composure. It was the wrong thing to say. The woman's face turned a shade of red that matched the sale signs. "Broke policy," she shrieked. "She provides service. She understands that I spend hundreds of dollars here a month. You are accusing her of breaking rules just because you're incompetent." She turned to the people in line, seeking validation. "Can you believe this? I've been shopping here for years, and this nobody is calling me a liar." I looked over at Jessica again. She finally turned around, offering a small, pitying smile to the customer, but she didn't step forward. She gave me a look that said, "Handle it yourself." That look sealed it for me. For months, I had cleaned up her messes. I had stayed late to finish her inventory counts. I had covered her register while she took extra long breaks. And now, she was going to let me get shredded by a customer she had spoiled, just so she didn't have to admit she was giving away free product. The injustice of it felt like a physical weight on my chest. I realized that if I backed down now, if I just gave the discount to make the screaming stop, I would be complicit. I would be part of the problem. To understand why this moment was so volatile, you have to understand Jessica. She had been at the store for 2 years, 6 months longer than me, and she wore that seniority like a crown. She acted like an assistant manager, even though she had the exact same job title and pay grade as I did. She bossed around the new hires, assigning them the worst cleaning tasks while she stood at the front, greeting people. But her real power came from the favor culture she had built. Jessica had a circle of favorite customers. If you were in her circle, you didn't pay for shopping bags. You didn't pay for the extra shot of espresso at the cafe counter. Sometimes, expensive items like organic vitamins or premium chocolates just accidentally didn't get scanned. In exchange, these customers raved about her to management. They wrote surveys calling her a star and a gem. Our actual manager, Mr. Henderson, thought the sun rose and set on her. He only saw the glowing reviews. He didn't see the inventory shrinkage or the fact that her register drawer was constantly short by small, explainable amounts. She had hacked the system. She was popular because she was giving away things that didn't belong to her, and she was doing it right under everyone's noses. The culture she created made the rest of us look terrible. When I first started, I tried to be strict with the return policy. I refused to take back open, half-eaten food items. Customers would look at me with disgust and say, "Well, Jessica does it for me." It made me look rigid and mean. It made me a bad cop of the store. I eventually learned to just keep my head down and do my work, avoiding her special customers whenever possible. But today, I couldn't avoid it. The woman in front of me was one of Jessica's VIPs. I recognized her now. She usually came in on Tuesdays when Jessica worked the morning shift. She was used to the red carpet treatment, and the reality check I was giving her was causing a meltdown. "I want a manager," the woman demanded, slamming her hand on the counter. "Right now. I am not going to stand here and be insulted by a cashier who doesn't know her place." The crowd behind her murmured. Someone sighed loudly. "Just give her the discount so we can go," a man in the back yelled out. The pressure was immense. My hands were shaking slightly as I reached for the phone. This was the moment Jessica counted on. She expected me to crumble, to override the price just to end the scene, protecting her secret. But I wasn't going to do that. Not today. The customer took his question as an invitation to brag. She thought she was proving her loyalty. She didn't realize she was signing a confession. "The blonde girl," she said, gesturing vaguely toward the other aisle. "She knows how to treat a VIP." When I buy my groceries, she throws this in. Or she scans it and then voids it out so I have the receipt but don't pay. She says it's a loyalty perk. She's been doing it for months. The silence that followed was deafening. Mr. Henderson stopped breathing for a second. His eyes, usually tired and distracted, sharpened into lasers. He looked at the box of chocolates. Then he looked at the customer. Months, he repeated, his voice dropping an octave. She voids the item? The customer nodded vigorously, thinking she was winning. Yes. Exactly. She appreciates my business. Unlike this one, she jerked her head toward me, who acts like every penny comes out of her own pocket. I saw Mr. Henderson's knuckles turn white as he gripped his clipboard. Voiding items after scanning them was a serious offense. It was technically theft. It messed up the inventory counts and the revenue reports. It was exactly the adrift he had been pulling his hair out over. I decided it was time to speak. I didn't want to accuse anyone directly. I wanted the customer to do it for me. I wanted there to be zero doubt in Mr. Henderson's mind. Ma'am, I said gently, just so I can be clear for the manager, are you referring to Jessica? I pointed my open palm toward where Jessica was standing. She had stopped organizing magazines. She was frozen, her back to us, appearing as rigid as a statue. The customer rolled her eyes. Yes, Jessica. That's her name. She is a delight. You should all take notes from her. Mr. Henderson turned slowly to look at Jessica. Jessica, he called out. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried a weight that made everyone in the vicinity flinch. Jessica turned around slowly. Her face was pale, her eyes wide with panic. She tried to put on her usual charming smile, but it faltered, looking more like a grimace. Yes, Mr. Henderson, she squeaked. Could you come over here, please? He asked. It wasn't a request. It was an order. She walked toward the register, her steps heavy and slow, like she was walking to the gallows. As Jessica approached, the customer beamed at her. Tell them, Jessica, the woman said triumphantly. Tell this incompetent cashier and your manager that you always give me the loyalty discount on the chocolates. Tell them how you take care of the regulars. The customer thought she was saving Jessica. She thought they were allies. She had no idea she was burying her friend alive. Jessica looked trapped. She looked at the customer, then at Mr. Henderson, then at me. If she denied it, the customer would go nuclear and likely reveal even more details to prove she was right. If she admitted it, she was confessing to theft in front of the store manager. Sweat beaded on her forehead. She stammered. I think there's been a misunderstanding. The customer's smile dropped. Misunderstanding, she barked. Don't be shy, honey. You told me last week that corporate allows you to comp one item per visit for elite shoppers. You gave me the face cream for free, remember? The gasp from Mr. Henderson was audible. The face cream she mentioned was $80. It was kept in a locked case. Mr. Henderson turned his full attention to Jessica. He looked like a man who had just solved a complex puzzle and hated the picture it formed. "Face cream?" he asked, his voice dangerously quiet. "You gave away luxury skincare? As a loyalty perk?" Jessica opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. She looked terrified. "Jessica," Mr. Henderson said, his voice hardening. "We don't have a loyalty perk program that includes free merchandise. We don't have authorization to comp anything over $5 without a manager's key. Did you override the system?" Jessica looked at her shoes. I just thought, she spends a lot of money." She mumbled. "Did you override the system?" He repeated, louder this time. The customers in line were watching this drama unfold with rapt attention. No one was complaining about the wait anymore. This was better than reality TV. The customer looked back and forth between them, confusion clouding her features. She was slowly realizing that the perks she felt entitled to weren't official store policy. They were just Jessica stealing things for her. "I have a manager code," Jessica whispered. The admission hung in the air. Mr. Henderson's eyes nearly bulged out of his head. "You have a manager code? How?" Only managers and assistant managers were supposed to have the authorization codes to void sales or change prices significantly. I saw you type it in once," she admitted, her voice barely audible. "I memorized it. I only use it for the really good customers. I swear." The customer stepped back, horrified. She realized now that she was technically an accomplice to fraud. "Wait a minute," the customer said, her voice trembling. "I didn't know. She told me it was policy. I didn't know she was stealing it." The customer turned on Jessica instantly. Self-preservation kicked in. "She told me she was allowed. I would never participate in theft." The betrayal on Jessica's face was tragic. She had risked her job to please this woman, to buy her affection and praise, and the moment things got real, the woman threw her under the bus without a second thought. Mr. Henderson held up a hand to silence the customer. He was shaking with anger. "Jessica, go to the office, now. Do not touch anything. Do not speak to anyone. Just sit in the chair and wait for me." Jessica looked like she was about to cry. She slumped her shoulders and walked past the line of staring customers, heading toward the back room. The cool girl facade was completely gone. She looked small and defeated. Mr. Henderson turned back to the customer. He wasn't smiling anymore. The customer service mask was gone. "Ma'am," he said coldly, "the item is $40. You can pay for it, or you can leave. But if you ever accept free merchandise from this store again, I will have to ban you from the premises and involve the police. Do you understand?" The woman looked shocked. She had lost all her power. She pulled out her credit card silently, her hands shaking. She paid the $40. She didn't look at me. She grabbed her receipt and the box of chocolates and practically ran out of the store. The rest of the transaction was a blur. I processed the next few customers quickly, apologizing for the wait. But the mood in the store had changed. The customers weren't annoyed with me anymore. They looked at me with a newfound respect. They had seen me stand my ground against a bully and a thief, and they had seen me win. When the line finally died down, Mr. Henderson came out of the office. He walked over to my register. He looked exhausted. "I'm suspending Jessica pending an investigation," he said quietly. "I need you to write a statement about what happened today. And I need to know, has this happened before?" I hesitated for a second. I didn't want to be a snitch, but I remembered all the times Jessica had made me feel small. I remembered her letting me take the heat while she played the hero. "Yes," I said honestly. "It happens a lot. I think if you check the inventory logs for her shifts, you'll find a lot of discrepancies." Mr. Henderson nodded grimly. "I had a feeling," he said. "Thank you for handling that professionally. You did the right thing." The fallout was swift. Mr. Henderson spent the next 3 days auditing Jessica's transaction history. It was worse than anyone thought. She had been using the stolen manager code to void hundreds of dollars of merchandise every week. She gave away makeup, electronics, food, even alcohol. She used it to make herself popular, to get people to like her, to feel important. The loss prevention team from corporate came down. They interviewed everyone. When they interviewed me, I told them the truth. I told them about the favor culture. I told them how she treated the staff who followed the rules. They checked the cameras and matched the footage to the voided transactions. The evidence was overwhelming. There was no way she could talk her way out of this. The receipts were literal receipts, and they painted a picture of systematic theft. Jessica came back to the store one last time a week later. She wasn't wearing her uniform. She was there to clean out her locker and sign her termination papers. She looked different. She wasn't wearing makeup, and her hair was pulled back in a messy bun. She walked through the store with her head down, avoiding eye contact with everyone. I was stocking shelves in aisle 4 when she passed by. She stopped for a second. I thought she might yell at me, or blame me, or make a scene. But she just looked at me. There was no anger in her eyes, just embarrassment. She knew she had done this to herself. She knew that her arrogance had been her downfall. She kept walking without saying a word. I watched her go, feeling a strange sense of closure. The toxic energy that had plagued the store for 2 years walked out the door with her. With Jessica gone, the atmosphere in the store changed overnight. The VIP customers stopped coming in as often, or when they did, they were surprisingly polite. They realized the gravy train had derailed. The other employees seemed lighter, happier. We didn't have to worry about being yelled at for following rules that Jessica broke. We didn't have to clean up her messes or cover her shifts. Mr. Henderson held a staff meeting the following Monday. He apologized to us. He admitted that he had been blinded by Jessica's sales numbers and customer reviews, and that he hadn't supported the rest of us enough. From now on, he said, looking around the room, we follow policy. No exceptions. And if anyone abuses you for doing your job, come get me immediately. It felt like a new era. For the first time, I felt valued not for being popular, but for being competent and honest. However, the drama wasn't completely over. A few days later, I saw a post on social media. It was Jessica. She had written a long, rambling status about how she was wrongfully terminated for helping people and how the store had no heart. She named me specifically, claiming I had set her up because I was jealous of her. A few of her friends commented, calling me names. It stung for a moment. I felt that familiar urge to defend myself, to jump into the comments and explain the truth, to post the facts about the theft and the manager code. But then I stopped. I remembered the lesson I had learned at the register. I didn't need to argue. I didn't need to shout. The truth had already won. Jessica was unemployed and facing potential legal action for the theft. I had a job, a promotion on the horizon, and a clean conscience. I put my phone down and went to work. The store was busy. A guy. I hopped on register 3. A customer walked up with a cart full of groceries. "Did you find everything okay today?" I asked, smiling. "Yes, thank you," the man said. He glanced at the impulse rack, grabbed a candy bar, and put it on the belt. I scanned his items. I scanned the candy bar. I told him the total. He paid. He didn't ask for a discount. He didn't demand to see a manager. He just said, "Have a nice day," and left. It was a boring, normal transaction. And it was the most beautiful thing I had ever experienced. The chaos was gone. The rules mattered again. I took a deep breath, ready for the next customer. I wasn't the cool cashier. I wasn't the popular one. I was just the one who did the job right. And as it turned out, that was more than enough. A month later, I was promoted to lead cashier. It came with a small raise and a set of keys, my own keys, legally obtained. Mr. Henderson told me he needed someone he could trust to train the new hires. He didn't want another Jessica situation. He wanted someone who understood that integrity was more important than being liked. I took the responsibility seriously. When I trained new girls, I taught them about the products, the system, and the policies. But I also taught them something else. I taught them that they didn't have to let customers, or coworkers, walk all over them. I taught them that no is a complete sentence. I watched them grow confident, not because they gave things away, but because they knew what they were doing. The culture of the store shifted from a popularity contest to a team effort. We had each other's backs. One afternoon, the lady with the beige coat, the truffle lady, came back in. I froze for a second when I saw her. I worried she might try to start trouble again. She walked up to my register, placing a basket of items on the counter. She didn't have any chocolates this time. Just milk, bread, and some fruit. She looked at me, and I saw a flash of recognition in her eyes. She looked embarrassed. "Hello," she said quietly. "Hi," I replied, keeping it professional. I scanned her items. The total came up. She inserted her card without a word. As the receipt printed, she hesitated. I'm sorry about before," she murmured, not meeting my eyes. "I didn't know she was getting you in trouble." It wasn't a perfect apology. She was still deflecting blame. But it was an admission that the power dynamic had changed. She knew I wasn't a doormat. "Thank you," I said simply. I appreciate that. She took her bags and left. I watched her go, realizing that the fear I used to have of these people was gone. They weren't monsters, they were just people who pushed boundaries until someone stopped them. Jessica had removed the boundaries, I had put them back up. That evening, as I was closing out my drawer, Mr. Henderson stopped by. Perfect count again, he noted, looking at my slip. You're boring, you know that? He smiled when he said it. Boring is good, I laughed. Boring keeps the lights on. He nodded. By the way, he said, lowering his voice. Corporate decided not to press charges against Jessica as long as she pays back the estimated loss. She's on a payment plan. I felt a wave of relief. I didn't want Jessica to go to prison, just wanted her to stop hurting us. A payment plan meant she was finally taking responsibility for the items she had given away to buy her popularity. She was literally paying for her fake friends now. It was a poetic kind of justice. I walked out to my car that night, looking up at the stars. The air was crisp and cool. I thought about how close I had come to quitting. I thought about how easy it would have been to just give that lady the discount and keep quiet. But if I had done that, nothing would have changed. I would still be miserable. Jessica would still be stealing, the store would still be losing money. Sometimes, the hardest thing to do is simply to stand still and tell the truth when everyone else is screaming. I started the car and drove home. My phone buzzed in the cup holder. It was a text from one of the new girls I was training. Hey, thanks for helping me with that return today. I was really nervous, but you made it easy. I smiled. This was what it was all about, not the drama, not the viral moments, not the revenge. It was about doing good work and helping the people who deserved it. My coworker gave away free stuff to build a kingdom of fake loyalty. I let her explain it to management, and her kingdom crumbled. I didn't need to be a queen or a star, I just needed to be me. And for the first time in a long time, I was really proud of who that was.